Hey everybody, this is Eric Brown again, bringing you the best of LA, where we get to share cool local Los Angeles residents and businesses and how you can find them, especially if you have not already. Now, I've got a really cool treat today. We're with a friend of mine, Rachel Berkowitz, who is a fine artist, a painter, so many things. And so I'm going to let her dive in and tell us a little bit about Rachel Berkowitz and your fine art. Thanks for coming.
I'm a local artist. I'm a painter and a photographer, and I just finished up a show in Beverly Hills, a solo art show with a bunch of my really big paintings.
That's awesome. Now I have so many questions to begin, but let's see if we can take this in some semblance of an order. So what got you into art to begin with? What decided that this was your passion?
Well, I grew up in London, and in London there is very few things to do when it's raining. So, and also as a child, I was a bit rambunctious. So my parents would take me to museums all the time, and that's kind of how I spent my time. So I was just kind of brought into the culture of fine art from a very young age. I'd say, honestly, the age of 5. And I developed a passion for it. I developed a passion for art history and for actual art itself. I would do workshops at these museums. There's a bunch of free kids workshops that is accessible in London. And so I just became obsessed from a young age.
Sure.
Yeah.
And did you find that there was a medium that got you started or that you were initially attracted to? Because now you have several.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually started just with drawing, and then I became really into sculpture. So I applied to UCLA to study fine art, and I applied as a sculptor, which is so funny because I took a couple of sculpture classes and I realized these machines are not for me.
Sure.
The small scale was great, large scale I was a little terrified. So I switched to painting. I never actually painted before in my life, but I took classes from my favorite painters in the world. So it was a really great experience for me. And photography as well. I've never really gotten into photography and had to start from the basics, analog, film photography, developing everything ourselves, and then that kind of developed a passion for me as well to continue that.
Sure. So the mediums of creative space are infinite. There's so many different directions you can go.
Definitely, and I love exploring new mediums whenever I can.
Sure.
So I feel like that's really important as an artist to keep doing that.
And in those different phases, so painting can be acrylic, oil, watercolor. As you're thinking about sculpture, you've got different mediums there.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at photography, you've got black and white, you've got still, you've got nature, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So what keeps you moving in certain directions? Does it change? How does that work?
Yeah, it actually just changes on what I want to portray. So, for example, I did a whole photography series based on the psychics of Los Angeles, and that was a photography series because it was photo for a reason. I wanted it to be realistic, I wanted it to be documentary style, but also fine art style. And my exploration of that was in a photographic manner because I felt like it had to be. Whereas I can explore emotional things and things that I can't necessarily capture in one picture using drawing and painting and sculpture. So for me, it depends on what I wanna do, what kind of body of work I wanna have.
Yeah.
And what leads me to that is any kind of drive can lead me to that. It could be something I've planned for a long time and I finally get to do it, or it could be a grant that I receive in order to do it. It could be a residency program where I propose a project and then I get that time to do it. So it really depends on the situation as well.
Sure. What types of things historically have been motivators? You talked a little bit about this series, documentary style with LA.
Yeah.
What other examples?
So it really depends on where I am in the world. So I did a residency in France, which was amazing, and I was with 7 other artists, and they inspired me in their own ways. They were all different kinds of visual art, and I was the only painter. And so for that series, that was kind of everything in this castle that was inspiring me. It was right at the beginning of the pandemic, so I was actually stuck in this castle for 2 months,
right?
Which was great,
Right.
honestly. And I was able to create artwork about mental health, about these feelings that we were all feeling, and I felt very fortunate to be able to express those things creatively. So as well as situational, it's also what everyone else is going through as well that I feel I can put into my work. But I tend to do work that I feel like I have a relationship with. I don't think it's right for an artist to create work where they cannot associate themselves in the work. And I think that can be problematic as well.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And when I think of having not lived in Europe and your access to classics and geniuses that are literally at your fingertips, and then the choice to come to America, of all places, tell us about that journey.
Well, I wanted to go to art school, and my parents would not let me. And I don't know if you know that the way it works in London, but you have to apply with a foundation. And a foundation is 1 whole year, very expensive. And we just simply couldn't afford to do that. So the situation was either you applied to a school in America, which has the best art program anyway,
Sure.
but you get in and you study everything else as well, just in case, backup. And then that will be like a way that you can go to university without having to take that year to do a portfolio. So I thought, why not? Also, I have my grandparents in San Diego,
Okay.
so they're close by, and I kind of always wanted to be in a situation where I was able to just study whatever I wanted to study.
Yeah.
And in England, it's very close-minded. Either you study fine art, painting, and nothing else for 3 years straight, and that's the end of that. Whereas UCLA enabled me to take classes in anthropology, in science, in English, and all different kinds of art history classes.
Sure.
And that is really important to me. I think having an all-round education is probably the most important thing. So.
Well, and especially for, as you expounded a bit upon your passions in looking at mixed media, it's such an opportunity to be able to explore different spaces.
Yeah, and also being around different kinds of people. Most of my friends are just, I had one best friend who was a neuroscientist and one who was a violinist. So I mean, I don't love being around artists all the time. I really like to expand my brain and expand my friendships with people that have, different ways of looking at the world. I think that's really important too.
And that's the word that I kept thinking about as you were describing this, is expansive.
Yeah.
It allows you to go in so many different directions. So tell us what's inspiring you right now as we roll into the next several months or years.
Yeah.
What type of things do you see are going to transition with your work?
Well, I'm still kind of in this one project that I completed for the show in Beverly Hills, and that show is called Eternal Bouquets, and it's about congratulating yourself at a time when so many people have these self-doubts and self-fears and can't accept these congratulatory moments that they should in their life, and the paintings are about being able to accept that. So senses of worthiness, almost gratitude in the same way. Not really putting a gender on it either. I feel like when you receive flowers from someone, it's often a man giving a flower to a woman, or a woman giving a flower to a woman. It's rarely do you see that other way around, and I kind of wanted my paintings to have this gender neutral feel to them, where you can gift someone a painting of flowers that's eternal and it's never going to die, and you're congratulating them for something, you're appreciating them for something, and looking at that will remind them all the time that they are appreciated. So kind of a mental health thing too, and I feel like with social media, people get very bogged down about themselves. I know I have, and from personal experience, it's hard to be in a world where there's such accessibility and so much competition. And so being able to just take a step back and forcing yourself to be proud of all of your achievements, no matter how big or small, I think that's what my work is really speaking about.
I think that's so applicable today. We seem to be getting faster and faster as a society, and being able to, no pun intended, but take some time to smell the roses.
Yeah, exactly, and take some time to slow down. I've always kind of been attracted to nature, and going to national parks is probably my favorite thing to do. So I know how important that time is, and I know how important it is to make that time, but that's very difficult in a big city.
Yeah.
Living in any city, that's hard. So if there's a moment where you can just sit with a piece of artwork and kind of feel that same grounding and same sensation, and almost like meditative qualities. I try and make my work interesting so that you want to keep looking at it and want to keep discovering it. Little moments in the work, tiny little details that I think are really important. So yeah, that's kind of what my work is about right now, but it changes all the time.
Of
So
course, of course.
yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to pop up all of your contact information here on screen, of course, so you've got a way as an audience to be able to connect with Rachel. I always love to ask, is there anything that you'd love to share with the viewers? Is there anything that you think that they should know, or a message that you'd like to share with them?
Yeah, I do. I host some workshops sometimes for adults and for kids, and recently I've noticed lots of self-doubt in the adult world concerning creativity, and I guess my message is to remind you that you're all creative. I think everybody is born an artist, and everyone has that in them, and it's whether they can keep that up as an adult. So, for example, my adult classes are like sip and paint kind of thing. So it's a very calming experience, and I feel like it's very important to give yourself that time to just sit, unwind, everything digital to the side, and feel that creativity again that you might not have felt in a long time. And I truly believe that that's a healing that can help a lot of people.
I love it.
Yeah.
So for those of you watching, I would love for you to be able to connect with Rachel, not only for the classes that she just mentioned, but if you're interested in seeing where is she next going to have either gallery work or a display, where she might be at a festival, where she might be selling various pieces, please do connect. As I mentioned, we'll have her website here. Is there other ways that you want to connect with folks beyond them visiting your site?
Yeah, I have a very active Instagram that kind of tells you everything I'm in. I'm always showing at least in one place. There's always one place in LA you can see my work. And I accept commissions too, so if there's something that you see that you like and you want someone to replicate it, you want someone to make something similar, I'm very open to that too, and I really love doing commissions. So yeah, feel free to reach out in any way.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming today. Yeah. This was wonderful. As always, folks, this is Eric Brown, your Beverly Hills real estate agent, bringing you the best of Los Angeles, where we got to hear a really cool story now about Rachel. Again, here's all of her contact information. Please reach out at any point if you have questions, comments, or just want to connect. Rachel will be awesome and would love to connect back with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having
me.
me.
Absolutely. Until the next time, this is Rachel and Eric signing off.